everyone to my channel. If you haven't been here before, pull up a seat, sit down. We are going to talk about, oh, why is it wet? No! Night by Eli Wesley. Number one, I didn't know this was a trilogy. I'm not interested in reading the other two. I know this is nonfiction, and I just wanted to reread it again because I wanted to. Okay, so born in the town of Sayet, Transylvania, Eli Wesley was a teenager when he and his family were taken from their home in 1944 to the Auschwitz concentration camp and then to Buchenwald. Night is a terrifying record of Eli Wesley's memories of the death of his family, the death of his own innocence, and his despair as a deeply observant Jew confronting the absolute evil of man. This new translation by his wife and most frequent translator, Marion Wesley, corrects important details and presents the most accurate rendering in English of Eli Wesley's testimony to what happened in the camps, and gives an unforgettable message that this horror must never be allowed to happen again. Now, it starts off innocent enough. You know, they're all doing what they need to do, being what they're doing, and then they're hearing about the war getting closer and closer and closer to them. They're offered a chance to sell all the possessions and escape out of their country so that way they can be safe, but they decide not to do that. Well, his father does, and of course the mother and the children decide to stay with their father because that's what family does. And then one of the guys, that's somebody that he knew, Moishi the Beetle, had disappeared. When he came back, he was very, very quiet, and he says, y'all need to leave now. You need to leave. And then it talks about how the restrictions started, such as Jews were prohibited from leaving their residence for 3 days under penalty of death. There was also more. There's like so much more. Let's see. Every Jew had to wear the yellow star. Every Jew had to hand over all their gold and jewelry or valuables because they weren't allowed to have or forbidden to own it. So yeah, they were no longer allowed to ride the right to go to frequent restaurants or cafes, to travel by rail, to attend synagogue, and they had to be off the streets after 6 o'clock. And then they were forced to live in ghettos where they were barbed wired in for the longest time. And then finally they started coming and taking them. Their family was one of the last ones to leave. And the first place they went to was, of course, Auschwitz concentration camp, where they were separated. Men and women went separate ways. So men went to the right, women went to the left. So Eli never figured out or learned about the death of his mother or his siblings. As far as I know, he didn't know ever what happened to them because they were separated, and he tried to stay with his father for as long as possible. They got rations, they got new food, they had their hair cut, they were inspected for health, and then they were forced to work to earn their keep, even though they're just basically workers, slaves, prisoners. And they're just forced to work there and do as their captors tell them to do. They're moved around several times to different camps until they make it to one camp in particular where they stay for a while. In this camp, while they're working on a construction site, Eli gets an infection in his foot, and he's put to the hospital at a camp where they're going to do surgery on his foot. He fears that he's going to lose his foot, and if he loses his foot, that means he's useless and he cannot do anything, including work, and he's afraid that will make him dead. But when the doctors do what they need to do, it's just to get the pus out of the bottom of his foot, and that he's not supposed to walk on it for a while, and that he's supposed to stay there. But he does eventually get freed because the war does come to, where is it? Buchenwald, and he's eventually, freed from it. He had a terrible time. It was a terrible, terrible time for him, and I can't I can't imagine how long he was in that terrible time or what exactly he went through, because he didn't describe a lot of the stuff that he went through. He just described some of the bare minimum things that he experienced. Because I'm sure he experienced a lot more than just what's in this book. I mean, like, I feel like this should be something that's read by everybody in every world, translated into every language, because of the simple fact that something like this, the Holocaust, which is later became named after the war, should never happen. It shouldn't have happened then, and it should never happen again. What happened in 1944 and onwards, it never should have happened. And we don't need it to happen again. There's no reason to get rid of anybody in any way, shape, or form for any reason. Everybody deserves to live their own life. They don't deserve to be killed for their beliefs, for the way they look, or anything. And I'm hoping that we continue reading these types of books, and we continue learning, and we continue understanding that this shit should never happen. I read it one day. It's really not that long, to be truthful. It was like, if you count like the his Nobel Peace Prize acceptance, it's like 120 pages. I didn't read that. I read 115. You also have in the very beginning a foreword and an introduction, or a preface to the new translation. So yeah, but yeah, I didn't realize it was a three-book series. Night, Day, and I think there's one more, Dawn or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't know that. My favorite, there is no favorite character. Obviously, there is no least favorite character, because it's just a terrible, terrible thing. I don't have a favorite quote. I don't have a favorite passage in this either. What did I think about it? I think it's a good history lesson to learn about how humans, when they think they're right and they have the right to do something, treat other humans. And we don't have the right to treat other humans terribly. We don't have the right to judge them for the way they live, for the way they think, for the way they dress. We don't have the right to suppress anybody. We don't have the right to kill anybody. We don't have those kinds of rights. What we have is the ability for compassion, the ability for understanding. And what I mean by killing anybody, I mean like killing Jews just because they're Jews. No. Killing like Catholics just because they're Catholics, or Protestants because they're Protestants. Or killing white people because they're white. We don't have those types of rights. That's not something we should ever do. That's something we should never condone. We should always condemn that kind of violence. Because everybody who's never committed terrible, obvious, murdery crimes deserves to live. Adolf Hitler deserved his death. I mean, obviously, he killed lots of people on his order. A lot of people killed a lot of people. So, like him, he wasn't innocent. He deserved it. But people who don't deserve it, we don't have the right to do that. We don't have the right to end their lives in any way, shape, or form. What else do I have for my lovely things that I say, that I do, that I can't really remember? What I'm going to rate this, I rate it a 3. I don't feel right rating this in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, I don't like thinking about the Holocaust, and I don't like thinking about the deaths and stuff like that. But I also don't like reading nonfiction books, obviously. I do have still a few left in my library, in my room, in my bookshelves, that I'm still going to read for you guys. But I don't like the terrible things that happen in this, and I'm only giving it a 3 because of those things. The fact that it's nonfiction, obviously, and the fact that, but that's it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what else I can say about it. Anyways, if you guys think I deserve a like, comment, and a lovely subscription, why don't you go ahead and drop it down below, okay? I will see you all next illusion.